Hello, welcome to Talking Europe. I'm at Warsaw City Hall with the mayor of the Polish capital, Rafal Trzaskowski. He was elected in October 2018, but he was also the presidential candidate in the election of June 2025, when hopes were high that Liberals would secure the presidency, having already won the parliamentary election 2 years earlier, and then be able to complete promised reforms. But that did not happen. Mr. Trzaskowski lost by a wafer-thin margin to his conservative rival, Karol Nawrocki, who became president of Poland. And since then, it's been a difficult cohabitation between the presidency and the government, and very difficult to reverse the legacy of 8 years of conservative rule by the previous administration of law and justice. That Conservative Party is very much eyeing a comeback in next year's parliamentary elections in 2027. Mr. Trzaskowski, welcome to the programme.
Hello, good morning.
Let's start with the war in the Middle East and the implications for Europe and for Poland. You have what is called the economic miracle here, 3.6% growth rate in 2025. Are you worried that the rising oil prices and gas and energy prices are going to perhaps undermine this Polish economic performance?
Well, I mean, we are looking at the unpredictability on the geopolitical scene, and of course also the rising prices of energy. We had those problems just after Putin has decided to attack Ukraine. And just as we've stabilized the markets and just as we've stabilized the European market, we have new problems because of that war in the Middle East. So, of course, we are concerned.
On these US-Israeli airstrikes, we've seen a recent poll here by CBOS, which says that Donald Trump is one of the most distrusted world figures here in Poland. That's quite a turnaround from what used to be a very Atlanticist-minded society. I guess things have gone even more in that kind of Trump skeptic direction now, would you say?
Well, first of all, we are still pretty Atlanticist as compared to many other European countries, and we think that NATO is a cornerstone of our security. But, well, yes, of course. I mean, the lack of predictability of Donald Trump's administration worries us. And also this lack of clarity when it comes to the war between Russia and Ukraine, because we've heard many different opinions from the American administration that we do not necessarily agree with, because for us it's absolutely clear that it is Russia which attacked Ukraine, and it is Russia and Putin who are responsible for this atrocious war. So yes, we are concerned, and of course also this lack of predictability has a certain impact on the public opinion.
The government here has warned that Russia could benefit from rising oil and gas prices. What's the mood here about that? Because obviously Poland does have this 210-kilometer border with Russia.
Well, I mean, of course, it is a problem because we as Europeans, but also as a Western community, we're doing everything to stabilize the prices of oil, especially not to allow Putin to actually enlarge his war chest. And of course, with these prices of oil, unfortunately, that is going to benefit the Russian economy, which is wholly dependent on fossil fuels.
On the president here, he's caused quite a stir by vetoing the SAFE program. So this is the European Commission loan program for defense spending. The government here says it's inexplicable because it really needs this extra money to boost Polish defense. What's your view of that?
Well, this is incredible because for years we had an agreement between all the political forces in Poland to support our defense industry, to spend more money on defense, also to support Ukraine and its bid to join NATO. And all of that, unfortunately, was overturned by the new populist president. And it seems that he's much more interested in making the life of the current government more difficult, and that he's more interested in jostling for power with other populist parties. You know, who's going to be the most anti-European on the Eurosceptic in order to get the vote of the conservative electorate, than an interest in Polish national interest.
Many people here are saying that the election campaign has effectively started very early, of course, but in that context, Prime Minister Tusk said that there's a real risk of Pole exit, a kind of Polish Brexit. That was a tweet a few days ago. Is that scaremongering, or is it actually true?
Well, listen, I mean, if the President of the Republic of Poland does not support SAFE, which is the best program for our defense industry, out of which we could channel 80% of the money in order to strengthen our industry, because he starts questioning the way in which those loans are structured. And he says that that would actually make us too much dependent on Germany. And he wakes up all of those complexes that the populists have about Germany, because it seems that they think that this is our real enemy today. Of course, that stokes up fears that they might try to play this anti-European card for the whole campaign. They said that everything that was done on fighting climate change should be reversed. They are questioning quite a lot of European policies. So now, of course, one has to wonder whether we are not witnessing the same kind of evolution as we've been witnessing while looking at conservative governments in Britain.
Liberals here have blamed two successive presidents during this cohabitation, Andrzej Duda and Karol Nawrocki, for the inability to pursue reforms, particularly legal reforms. Is that kind of an easy way out, to blame those two presidents, or are there things perhaps in honesty that this government could have done still to advance that reform agenda more, even with the blocks that you have?
Well, this government has pushed for quite a lot of reforms that it has promised on economy, on social programs, on changing our policy within Europe and within the world. But it is true that when it comes to the reforms of the legal system, which were introduced by the populists, or, for example, the change of this medieval anti-abortion law, we unfortunately encountered the veto of the president. And then there is no wonder that the government cannot actually deliver on its promises. The government tried to do things in order to at least make the situation a bit more palatable to the people and better, without necessarily introducing bills into the parliament. But of course this is difficult, because at the end of the day, we are governing within the constitutional system of the Polish Republic, with the president having a veto.
So it's a kind of vicious circle, because not being able to do these reforms makes people even more disillusioned and perhaps go to other parties, because we already saw young people moving away from liberals and going to the far right or to the far left in the last election. You must be concerned that that's going to happen again next year.
Well, of course, and it has an impact on my election. I mean, one of the reasons that I've lost was that the government was not able to deliver on many of its promises. And one of the reasons was that there were quite a lot of squabbles within the ruling coalition. And I was not only attacked by the current president, but also by my coalition partners who also ran in that election. So of course it concerns me, and let the bygones be bygones, but when we concentrate on the lessons that we can learn for the next elections, which is starting right now, because I mean the elections are going to be in 27, you're absolutely right that we should be thinking about it very seriously.
This month, some free medical services that had been available to Ukrainians in Poland have been cancelled. Are you comfortable with this evolution, and do you think there's a backlash in public opinion against Ukrainians here and in Warsaw as well?
Well, I mean, one has to say that, we were the country which helped the Ukrainians the most, and we had 400,000 refugees staying in Warsaw alone, staying in our houses. And we've granted them almost citizen-like treatment here when it comes to education, when it comes to healthcare, and so on and so forth. But after 4 years, yes, the European Union as a whole decided to limit some of those services, especially when it comes to long-term treatment of cancer and so on and so forth. Now, the populists are, unfortunately, they decided to turn anti-European. And for years we had an agreement between us and all the other political forces when it came to strengthening Polish defense, security, helping Ukraine, and so on and so forth, that has been completely dismantled by President Nawrocki, who is stoking up fears and playing on this anti-Ukrainian card. And unfortunately, it has some resonance among the people. Not in Warsaw, because in Warsaw and in the big cities, people resoundingly keep on supporting Ukraine and the Ukrainian people. But in some other places, yes, there are some people who are either tired with war or who unfortunately listen to the populists who are stoking up those anti-Ukrainian feelings.
Speaking of populists playing the Ukrainian card, of course, we have to mention Hungary in that context. Are you hoping for a change in government in April and a more pro-European direction, including on the whole Ukrainian file?
Yes, of course. I'm hoping that Peter Magyar will win. I'm in contact with my Hungarian friends who work in supporting him. I mean, the mayor of Budapest, Karacsony, is a very good friend of mine, so I keep my fingers crossed.
Just to come back for the whole French security strategy as it relates to Poland, of course, there have been talks of extending the nuclear umbrella from France to other countries, including Germany and Poland. Is that a good idea, and how do you think it might work in practice? Would Poland actually have sovereignty on that? Because it seems from President Macron that it might not, that France would still be deciding.
Well, I mean, first of all, you have to think what is in the interest of Poland now and what is common sense. And our position is this. Of course, the cornerstone of our security is the North Atlantic Organization and NATO. Of course, we should have the best possible relations with the Americans and try to do everything that they stay in Europe. But at the same time, we should do absolutely everything to strengthen our own credibility, both in Poland and invest in our defense and in our industry and in European capabilities. And by the way, that's exactly what Trump told us, that we should take it more seriously and take more responsibility. So, yes, we should have and strengthen the NATO guarantees, but we should also consider the plans of President Macron and analyze them very, very seriously. Because, I mean, simply, you are going to be more secure in this part of Europe when you have both. When you have strong transatlantic guarantees and when you have strong European guarantees, when you have strong transatlantic capabilities and strong Polish and European capabilities.
We'll stop there. Thank you so much for this wide-ranging discussion, Mayor Rafał Trzaskowski, Mayor of Warsaw. Thank you. Thanks for watching us here on Talking Europe.